Hey, it's Tony Schiavone. You're listening to episode 230 of the Comic Pals, a group of comic book journalists and friends who record a podcast together because they don't talk enough about comics in their daily lives.
Oh, finally, we have an expert here to help put butts in the seats.
Wow.
I think Bug perked up for that one even.
So, first of all, I have to say I am honored to have on the show today not only Dirk Manning, who is a friend of the show, a longtime friend of the show, a longtime supporter of the show, but today it's not about him. Dirk, today for the first time, it's not about you, okay? Today it is about a legend, someone who is a living legend in the wrestling industry, who is not only coming for Dirk's job, right, as a writer. He's not only usurped me as the host of this podcast, the intro person of this podcast, but he is one of the greatest announcers of all time in wrestling. If you love wrestling, you love this man. We are joined today by Tony Schiavone. Thank you so much for being a part of this.
Well, thanks for that intro. That's amazing. I'm hearing you talk, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, is my life cool or not, or what? It just like it is, because my love of wrestling, obviously, as you can see, I love baseball.
Absolutely.
Loved baseball before they screwed it up and made it something that I don't recognize. And now my love of comic books is all kind of, coming together, and my love of superheroes. And can I say something about superheroes?
Please
do.
That really pisses me off.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Superheroes do not die. Tony Stark should not have died. Okay. End of story. Superman should have a red cape. End of story. I'm sorry. That's old school of me.
I
feel better. Okay. When Tony Stark died, I went, what? What? And my daughter says, wasn't that amazing? I said, bullshit. So, maybe I've not read enough Iron Man comic books. Did he die in the comic books?
So, yes, he has died in the comics. Quite frankly, all of them have died and been resurrected at some point.
Oh, okay, good. So there's hope. By the time I have great grandchildren, there's going to be the Avengers Reborn,
yeah,
or something like that.
That's so funny that you say that, because this summer Marvel's producing an event called Heroes Reborn.
Oh,
so
okay. Where's my lawyer? Where's my doctor?
I'm coming for my job. I knew it. Shut up.
So anyway, that's just so when my kids, and they are really into this too, when my kids watched Endgame, they said, "Oh, it was great," and I said, "Nah, it was all right." What? What? You are no longer the vice president of the Schiavone Comic Club. Okay, I got it. So
Vice president?
yeah, oh yeah, my daughter's in charge of everything.
Well, that's true. That is true.
She's in charge of everything. So
the queen.
So anyway, sorry to let me. Thanks for letting me vent, but it's great to be with you guys. It really is.
I'm just glad this shelf is in the way, and maybe you can see it back there. I don't have a ton of Funko Pops, because it's like when you pick that scab, you start bleeding to death. But I already have too many. I got several of my shelves here stuff. One of the ones I bought is the Iron Man Death Snap, I guess you'll call it, in cinema, because I loved the moment in cinema. But I completely concur that in the comics, I mean, you gotta kind of keep the story going. So so you see me kind of like going like this and like trying to cover up that Funko. So Tony's like, wait a minute, what's that back there? Is that the dead Iron Man?
Yeah.
But no, I agree. The comics need to continue to exist in some form for people to enjoy.
Yeah, superheroes are forever.
Right.
Exactly. And I think even on screen, Iron Man will live forever, even if he's away right now. That's my hope.
Good.
So we have a lot to talk about. Tony and Dirk have teamed up to produce what is essentially the life story. I don't know if it's the life story, or just the wrestling life story of Tony Schiavone. We're going to get into all that. But it's called Butts and Seats. And it's on Kickstarter right now. We're going to have a link to it in the description. This book is already funded, and the Kickstarter began on, I believe, 3/16.
Oh, hell yeah.
Knowing Dirk, I can imagine that was deliberate, right?
that was completely deliberate, and I was shocked that no one figured it out until like the very end. They're like, "Wait a minute, 316. That's Stone Cold Steve Austin Day," and I'm like, I mean, it's just fun,
Absolutely. So
I didn't figure it out till right now.
Wait,
Damn, pretty good, Dirk. You're smarter than you look.
that's not hard.
So we're going to get into all that. I want to let you guys listening know where you can find the Comics Pals all over the internet, of course. If you search us, you're going to find us wherever it is that you choose to listen to us. We thank you very much. Hit that follow button, that subscribe button to find our podcast whenever you want to listen to us. It'll automatically download. If you want to talk to us, you can write to us at thecomicspals@gmail.com. You can get us on social at The Comics Pals. You can join our Discord server, a link to which is in the description. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you very much. You can hit that subscribe button, like the video, share with your friends, and leave us a comment. All those things are free to do, and they help us out a lot more than they cost you. Now, with all that preamble out of the way,
Very good.
thank you very much. I suspect that this might just end up being the greatest interview in podcast history.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, $30.
I'm rolling it over right now.
I have to get that line trademarked, and we've got Michael Dawkins, who's like the trademark king. Thank you. See, Dirk puts a tally mark every time I say his name, because he'll bill us for every time we say his name.
Okay.
But I got to get him to trademark that line, and I guess it wouldn't be too hard. I don't know why I would trademark it, but
why not?
I could have made some money on this podcast already.
Right. It's now trademarked in the sense that, and again, I don't know what the legalese that he who shall not be named does.
Mm-hmm.
And we give Dawkins a lot of grief, but as you'll I'm sure you'll hear everybody, he helped bring all this together for us.
Sure he did.
But
yeah.
It's the name of the book, so
Right.
why?
So why not trademark it? Michael Buffer trademarked "Let's Get Ready to Rumble," and he's made a lot of money off that. So, but anyway, that's another story. But yeah, this is going to be one of the greatest podcasts in the history of the Comic Pals. I can tell you that.
Oh yes,
or maybe the.
Just buries me right in front of me.
So you mentioned "He Who Shall Not Be Named" is a big reason why this whole thing came together.
Sure.
How did it come together?
Mike Dawkins contacted me because Mike has inserted himself into our world, our wrestling world. I met Mike at C2E2 back in 2019, and Conrad Thompson said, "I want you to meet this guy because he's kind of become our lawyer." And I went, "Oh, geez, another lawyer." But we had a nice dinner, which Mike paid for, which is always a good sign. And we talked, and I realized, he's first of all, he's a wrestling fan. He's a sharp guy. And so he periodically would come to me with some ideas. And he said, I've got a friend of mine named Dirk Manning who writes comics. And I've got an idea about doing a comic book about your life. Well, there has been a lot of talk from fans and even from my family about, why don't you write a book about your life? Because there have been very good wrestling books out there. McFoley's one, obviously. JR's got one, which is tremendous. The Young Bucks have one that's out now. So there's a lot of great books. And I know there's so many books, I'm not going to be able to name them all, but Ric Flair's got a book entitled "I'm Full of Shit." So anyway, a lot of great books out there. And I thought about this, and I thought, you know what? For me and my life and what I'm into and what I love, comics is right, as the old cliche goes, up my alley. So yeah, why don't we do that? And he started it. He introduced me to Dirk, who introduced me to Drina, and we got on with the guys with the Source Point Press. And we would do Zooms, and Mike was there, I guess, just to make sure. I don't know why he was there. No, he was very good.
Billing us by the hour. That's all.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. But he's a very good researcher and helped us out a great deal. We got a guy named Dave Silva who slept through most of the Zooms, but he was part of it. And so that's how it all started. And I was all into this, and I And I've said this before. I had no idea. They kept talking about Kickstarter. And I went, what the hell's Kickstarter? I don't know what a Kickstarter is. Now I know my son opened up a brew pub and they started a Kickstarter. I don't know how that went, but I thought, well, yeah, give it a shot. And they kept saying Kickstarter's coming up in Tuesday, 3/16. I went, okay. I don't know what that means, but let's go for it. And basically it's a pre-order of the book.
Right.
And so that's how it all started. That's a long version of it, but it started with Mike and Dirk getting together and wanting to do this. So here we are many months later, almost a year later, right?
Yeah, about a year later.
Wow.
And it's interesting because the flip side of that was I actually, and I know you, the pals, you'll appreciate this. I met Mike through Scoot McMahon, who, we did the Adventures of Cthulhu Jr. and Dastardly Dirk, which thank goodness is finally the full book's coming out later this year. But Dawkins was friends with Scoot, and he saw me at some of the signings and stuff I was doing with Scoot and things like that, and saw the library of my work and stuff like that. And Dawkins comes to me and says, hey, how would you feel? He goes, I know you're a wrestling fan. I said, yeah, absolutely. He goes, how would you feel about doing a book with Tony Schiavone? And I was like, I'm not opposed. Which, we obviously we joke, but I've done, I did the one-shot comic with the Harp Twins out of Chicago, Legend of the Shaders. Obviously, we've had a lot of success doing the comic book with Twisted, with Haunted Highons. Got nominated for several Ringo Awards, stuff like that. So that's cool. But I knew with what he would want to do is a real life story. And the initial concern I had was, when you're doing a biographical book or, autobiographical, biographical, however you want to quantify it, there's a lot of work, a lot of research. It's going to take a lot of time. You got to get just right. Or at least to not let the facts get in the way of a good story, as I always say.
Which I've been told many times, yes.
That's right. But what I was concerned about was that, and I told Mike this, I said, I don't want to tie myself into all of the work and all of the effort to do a vanity project. I said, that is not, I mean, hey man, if all it's going to be is just somebody talking about, how great they are and all their exploits they've had and things like that. And I'm like, maybe I can help facilitate it and hand it off to someone else. I said, SourcePoint Press is a phenomenal publisher. I think people are continuing to figure out, especially through the pandemic and stuff last year, and where they're at now on the other side of it. What a powerhouse grinding publisher they are. They just do the work.
Yeah. And
they supported comic shops during the pandemic. They were sending care packages like, here, take these books, sell them, and keep the money. We want you to stay open. There's all this stuff SourcePoint did. It was behind the scenes till about 30 seconds ago. Sorry, Travis. But I was like, maybe, we can, I'll talk to Tony and stuff like that. We'll kind of see what the intent is for this project. And I said, I'll gladly help make it happen. We got Rena Joe's a fantastic editor. I know she can keep anybody in line. She's been on your guys' show, that. Yeah, so we'll figure something out. So then we had the first meeting with Tony, and obviously Tony's a great guy. What you see is what you get. And it became very evident to me very quickly that there was not only such a fascinating story here with Tony being one of the only non-wrestlers, I would say, who has been in every major wrestling promotion in U.S. history. I mean, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, Tony. I mean, maybe there's one or two other ones, but
I wasn't at ECW, and
okay,
you consider that a major promotion,
and I would, yeah. So most of them, almost everyone,
right?
We'll add a stretch goal that someone gets to hit you with a bar with a chair or something like that, and then we'll just start chanting ECW.
Obviously, I'm a whore, so line it up.
There's the poll.
Almost every. I mean, you're going from Crockett to WCW to WWE, WWF. The one night at Impact, and now obviously AEW, which is completely, I would argue, reinvigorated a lot of passion in professional wrestling. But past that, Tony's just a great guy. So you have this great story with this guy that is adverse to being put over. It's like, if you want to see like the funniest thing, like start giving Tony compliments and watch him squirm.
Wow.
We're gonna get to that segment.
Yeah, he's worse than I am about it. I mean, I'll do it for the sake of show, but I was in, man. I said, my God, he's a great guy. So Dawkins and I talked, and what became pretty evident pretty quickly was we could break up Tony's whole life, not just the wrestling stuff, but his whole life in and out of wrestling into like 10 chapters. So I'm very much a structure guy. So we broke it into 10 chapters. And then what I wanted to do was get a different artist to illustrate each chapter that would best reflect the different stages and parts of Tony's life, which takes me back to like my Nightmare World days with the anthology stuff. And here we are. Tony's been a wonderful guy to work with through the process. We obviously have people like Dawkins, who keeps us from going too long because he bills us. We have Dreamy Joe to keep us in line. I'm still trying to figure out what Dave Silva did on these calls.
Nothing.
I think he hit record. I think he hit
record.
Maybe Silva hit record. And here we are. It's been amazing. And the response to the Kickstarter, which you can see at buttsandseatscomic.com.
There you go.
Is I'm going to tally mark myself on that one. Is has just been jaw dropping. I know how to run a Kickstarter. Obviously, I've done this many times. I never ever truly in my wildest dreams imagined that 3 days in or 4 days in, where it was 4 days in, 84 hours. Sorry, in 84 hours we would have unlocked all 14 stretch goals that we had. Wow.
Yeah, it's the whole process has blown me away. I mean, really, absolutely blown me away. I'm the kind of person that, as Dirk said, and you guys, you started out by calling me a legend, all that. I wanted to call the book I Jabroni because that I always consider myself a guy that puts other guys over, and I was. When I first started in the business, I was lectured in a good way by Jimmy Crockett about the business and about the guys. We're talking about back in 1983, about the respect of the business and your role in the business. And I never got into the business for stardom. I got into the business because I needed money. I really did. And minor league baseball was not paying me much. And I found out every time I did some wrestling, I got a pretty good little chunk of money. And by the time I started wrestling, I had one son and a daughter on the way. Wow. And then I ended up having 3 more kids for some unknown crazy ass reason. So I really got into it because I loved wrestling. I really did. I mean, it's not that I didn't get into it like, okay, I have no idea what this is, but I'll give it a try. I knew what it was and I loved it. And I was a big fan. And I think that's why the passion that I do and I've done on announcing comes through, because I really love what I'm doing. But I never got into it because I wanted to see myself on TV. I got into it because, hey, I need the money and I love wrestling. So I think it all worked out for me. And I'm really not, I'm really kind of, I don't like to say, oh, I'm a shy person, but I like to consider myself very friendly. I talk to a lot of people, and I think more people in this world need to be nicer and kinder. Yes. So I push that out to my neighbors, people I see in the grocery store. I just try to be a very nice, good person because I think there are too many bad people in the world. But I'm not into Tony Schiavone. I've never been into Tony Schiavone. I've never been into this. I don't even like to call myself Tony Schiavone. It's third person bullshit. But I'm not into myself, and I'm not into when someone says you're a legend. I went, nah, I've just been around a long time. Okay. And I've been around a long time. So yeah, I'm uncomfortable about that. And Dirk found out that about me. It's this is another way to maybe make a little money and get some, I'm hoping, here's what I'm hoping. And really, I'm hoping about this. I'm hoping that this will lead to the expanse of comic books in wrestling. Yes. And will help Dirk expand himself into doing more with wrestling. I hope that's what it does. And I think that's because listen, I've yeah, I've got a pretty good story, but there are kids out there who have been in the independent circuit and have done crazy things for $50 a night, putting their bodies at risk. They've got great stories. They have tremendous stories. I've just sit on my ass and talked. It's all I've done. I've not strapped a chair to my back and jumped off the balcony of the Gilt nightclub for $50 in Orlando, Florida.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. That's right. But again, just sign me up. So that's what I'm hoping. And I like to meet people. I like to gain friends, and I felt I've gained some friends with Dirk and Drina and the people at Source Point. So that's what got me into this, and of course my love of comics and just being able to hold a comic and say, hey, this is about me, and this is about my Uncle John, and this is about Lois and the kids and what I was doing when wrestling was out of my life and why I did that. And I got to thinking the other day, and I hope I'm not going too long on this.
Please.
Okay, I got to think the other day about this, Dirk, that my parents are really not in this book, and it's not, my sister is really excited about it because I had asked my sister. I said, I need a picture of Uncle John, and she said, why you need a picture of Uncle John? I said, well, I got a thing I'm working on. So Uncle John's going to be in the comic book, but my professional career was after my father had passed away. He didn't know anything about me. He passed away when I was in high school. My mom watched it, but she was really not involved in my career. So it's not a project about Tony Schiavone I was pushed by my parents to get better. I was kind of like, it's just different. And it's kind of like starts with me in high school and goes on from there. So, and my love of wrestling, how I started loving wrestling. So I know I'm rambling, but I'm just hoping that we can do more with wrestling, and Dirk can do more with wrestling moving forward, because there are a lot of great stories out there.
Yeah. So I appreciate that. And conversely with me, it was the same thing. To me, it was like one of the reasons that I picked 10 different artists to work on this book and to create this book as an original graphic novel is I want to help people rediscover a love of comic books and see the power of the medium. We have such a diverse lineup of artists in this book. And one of the things I was worried about, again, this is something that I think we touched on very early on, Tony, and I kind of let it ride after that, was such a diversity of art styles in the book. We have a diversity of creators. We have a diversity of styles. One of the stretch goals we unlocked are going to be 10 chapter breaks that are illustrated. And I'm going even more crazy in regards to art styles on those chapter break illustrations. But I want people to see the power of this medium and how you can tell the story and the variety of this medium. And then whether you see, a DJ Kaufman or a John Marroquin or Jan Apple, people that maybe some people that have read my work read comics aren't familiar with, as opposed to guys like Austin McKinley and Josh Ross, who I've done tons of work with, But I'm really hoping, too, that because we're bringing a lot of non-comic fans to this book. We're bringing a lot of Tony Schiavone fans to this book. We're bringing a lot of wrestling fans. The comments on the Kickstarter, the emails we get, the messages are about, oh, my gosh, I love Tony, so I want to support this book. And I'm hoping more than anything that everyone that supports this project and pre-orders this book through Kickstarter, buttsinseatscomics.com, that they will, no, but that they'll head into a comic shop, or they'll come to a Comic-Con where Tony's at and get the book signed, or perhaps even come to a Comic-Con I'm at and get it signed, But again, that's one of the reasons I've loved working with Tony so much is we have very similar goals on this. This wasn't to put myself over. It wasn't even necessarily to put Tony over, but rather to tell this fascinating story and really communicate both of our love of the medium. I love comics. I got into comics because I love comics. You and I, we've talked on the show over the years about how I've never been chasing Marvel or DC gigs. Right. I hardly chase. I don't even really chase licensed work. I do my own thing. I got a spinner rack full of my own work. That's my goal, to fill a spinner rack with my own books. But just to be able to push the love of the medium out, and then with a good publisher with Source Point, with a good a good guy like Tony. I mean, I'm just so grateful for this opportunity. And Tony, I tell you this all the time, but thank you for the opportunity to do this, man. I appreciate it, and it makes those hours and hours and hours of Zoom calls almost worth it.
Yeah, it's been a great process, and I think Dirk realizes that almost all the changes I have made in the script and even later in the drawings have been based on people that I know.
Absolutely.
Because I don't want people in this. I don't want anybody in this book to have a bad light shined on them.
Right.
And I mean, we worked with we worked with the face of one of these guys.
Right.
And I said, no, man, he looks like the freaking devil.
Right.
He looks like Doctor Strange pissed off. And I said, I don't want that. And so we went through this and how the eyebrows look. And then, you know, we did another guy, and I just want to make sure everybody, it's not one of those exposés to where I talk about all the bad things that have happened in the business, with the exception of some people that can rot in hell. But and they're not in the business. We're talking about people in radio, which, by the way, I do need to say, thank God for podcasts, and thank God for Sirius XM, because terrestrial radio is on the way out.
Yep.
So I think we've done some great things here.
Phil works in radio, by the way.
I do work in radio.
Do you really?
I do.
I'm so sorry.
That's just very funny.
Okay, I worked in radio. I worked in radio long enough, and I worked for the biggest station in Atlanta long enough excuse my language, to where I now draw a pension from those cocksuckers. And so just terrible people. I mean, just absolutely, it was a terrible business. And I still work in radio. I still work for the Georgia Bulldogs radio network.
Oh, nice.
So I still work in radio. But anyway, so again, I'm going off onto a tangent here, but
I relate.
Okay, I'm very concerned about everybody in this graphic novel, you know, not looking bad, looking good, present them in a good light, because all these people that are in wrestling in this graphic novel had a profound impact on my life and made me what I am today. And I want them to know that. I really do. So that's kind of what was my main concern about doing this project.
Yeah, and to Tony's credit, I only had to remind him a few times, a book is not a place you bury someone.
No.
We only had to have that discussion, you know. No. And then I'm like, are you sure? And you want to put this here? And he's like, absolutely. I'm like, okay. No. I mean, but there's some ribs in there and stuff like that. But no, right. I mean, and I think that's important for people to know, because I know that up until we've started doing these talks, we have not talked a lot about what the book's about. Like, people are wondering, is this just Tony's life in wrestling? I mean, you got that gorgeous cover by Mariana Pescosta, you know, with the wrestling ring and all the
She's
chaos
amazing.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one of the things that this covers Tony's whole life. And like Tony said, his life outside of wrestling and things like that. And all these people that impacted his life and what's going on. And but it's not a dirt sheet comic. You know, I mean, I think we made the joke earlier about how sometimes when we're talking, I would tell Tony, don't let facts get in the way of a good story, you know. But by and large, I mean, this is it's a very respectful book about Tony's career. And for people that don't even necessarily like wrestling or don't know who Tony is, everyone's aware of wrestling. Everyone is aware of professional wrestling. You cannot live in the United States or the world without being aware of it. And Tony's a guy that's, you know, lived his life amongst all these giant personalities and seen it. And we talk about the lows. You know, there were a couple of parts in the book where I was almost uncomfortable initially about how vulnerable I think you got at times, Tony, about things.
Yeah, I had some pretty tough years. I really did. You
know, but we laid it out to talk about where he's at now, which is with All Elite Wrestling and a comic book, a graphic novel that I'm looking at. The other part of my screen is the Kickstarter page, and even talking to you guys, it's like ding 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 ding. It's incredible, and I think people are going to be really, really, really enjoy this as a graphic novel, and hopefully grow the love of the medium, grow appreciation for Tony and his career. See, you see the sneer whenever I say that. Like, you appreciate Tony.
Well, okay. The good news about this Kickstarter is that I worked out a deal with Mike Dawkins where I'm getting 95% of the Kickstarter in my pocket. So that's good.
That's beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Dirk gets 1%, Dawkins gets 1%, Source Points gets the rest.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say you better read that contract again, Tony. Yeah.
No, really, I make fun. This is not about the money. This is the fact that I get to do a comic book.
Sure.
How many people can say that in their life, that they get to do a comic book? That's a big deal, man, for someone like me. So
yeah, when the book got funded, I messaged Tony. I said, $20,000 worth of people have supported a comic book with your face on the cover.
How about that?
And that was in 147, and that was like 187 or 147 minutes.
Right.
And now we're just so
just
cool.
imagine what a well written comic book like I know this is can do for anybody else in wrestling, people that are stars, and because I'm not, I'm just a face, and so. Just imagine that. So again, I think this can open the door, and I know it's going to open the door because I know how wrestlers are.
People got to be chirping at you about this, Tony. I mean, yeah. I don't want to get into personal business, but I know you go to tape again next week, and you've gotten some. We've released some, but not all. But we've released some of the video drops you got.
Yeah.
I mean, people got to be excited. I'm sure people are like, hey. Yeah. About this comic book deal, huh?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And we got more coming. And so that's what I've done. I have positioned myself in AEW to be someone that, okay, I've been in the business a long, long time, and we got to have all these young people. And so if I can help them out with their careers, any way at all, putting them over on TV, pointing them in the right direction to good people, then I try to do that. And I get along with them. I think I'm well liked in wrestling, in the industry itself, and I think I've worked hard to establish that because that's truly how I am. I try to be a good person, even in the face of my wife. I try to be a good person, which is very difficult to do at times.
Well, you talked about how you would love for this to be something that opens the door for other people within wrestling, other wrestling personalities to do comics. And what I think a lot of people don't necessarily think about is how connected those two industries are in terms of what they're presenting. Wrestling presents larger than life personalities, and a lot of the storylines are good versus evil, essentially, or good guy versus good person versus, person who's doing wrong in a given scenario. Sure. And comics are very similar to that, and the pageantry that wrestling presents, a lot of that you can find in comics as well. I grew up a fan of both of those things.
Sure.
And it's a beautiful thing to me now at 30 years old to see that there are some wrestlers and wrestling personalities who are realizing that there is this marriage and that, these stories can be told. And I can't wait to have Butts and Seats in my hands, buttsandseatscomic.com, right? I can't wait to have it in my hand because I want to see wrestling. I want to see larger than life wrestling characters depicted in comics. I want that.
Yeah. And what you need is, and what you want is, I'm thinking, I can't speak for you, Sean, but that's very well said. I think what is great about what we do is you've got to tell a good story. And you've got to get the people, either the readers or the viewers, invested in that character.
Right.
And to me, that's why this Zack Snyder film has been really good, because now we're invested in these characters. We all know the Superman story, but now we're invested in Cyborg and his backstory even more. And those backstories, getting you to identify with that character, is what makes any type of medium great. The good guy, you really want to see that good guy. You really identify with him, want to see him good. And that bad guy, you want to see him get his in the end. You really want to see you get it. So I think the writing is critical for everything we do, what Dirk does, what the people do in wrestling behind the scenes, because, again, we're just like a living comic book. Good versus evil. Bad guys, good guys, larger than life guys, superheroes. And so I agree with you. The comics and wrestling are the meld. They meld perfectly.
And you talk about telling the story. That's something that you have been responsible for your entire career. You are that storyteller. And when I was 8 years old, I don't know this to be exactly a fact, but your voice was probably one of the first that I ever heard in wrestling.
Wow.
I started with WCW, and then I found out about WWF a little bit later on.
Sure.
And,
Was it the night that Mick Foley won the championship?
No.
So, it's too late to fire me, Tony. The book's done.
But in a way, you put my butt in the seat by telling these stories and getting me invested in these characters. I'll never forget for the rest of my life when I saw Sting come down from the rafters and he had his bat and he was protecting, I believe it was DDP, and your voice carried the story of that moment.
Sure.
And that's such a vital thing for wrestling, but it's also vital for comics.
Sure.
And you identified that, and I thank you for your role in helping shape me as a wrestling fan.
Well, thanks for saying that. I sometimes I would just I feel, and I was we recently had a match on Dynamite that has everybody talking, and that's Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa in that Lights Out match. And I was telling Britt after we taped it, because Britt and I really are friends. Legitimately, we play friends on TV, but we really are in real life, and we stay in contact with each other. I have a lot of time for her because she really is invested in her character, and anybody that puts that time and effort into her character, I have a lot of time for. So I talked to her afterwards. I said, that match was sensational. And she said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah." So let me tell you how I know it's sensational. When I call a match and I cease to become an announcer and I become a fan, and I'm with you on that. And I knew as I'm calling this match, and there's been a couple of them in my career, and that's one of them that I'm calling, that all of a sudden, man, I'm into this, man. I'm a fan. I'm excited. And when I'm screaming about all this stuff, it's legitimately excited about it. So when Sting came down for the rafters, I was really excited. I really was. And when all the points through my career that I hyped stuff, except to the end of WCW when I was doing a lot of overhyping because I was pissed off with the world, I legitimately was excited about it. So thanks for saying that. I was like the voice, but I was just kind of along with you, man. I was just talking about it. I was able to talk, and I'm sure people in their dens or their living rooms or wherever they watch are talking to the TV sometimes too. Like, wow, look at that.
When it's good.
Right. And so now I'm the one that says it. So I'm just like you. I'm a fan. So that's kind of what I've always approached myself as.
Tony, you must have a sixth sense for these kind of things, whether it's through your career in wrestling or even going back to baseball before your days in wrestling. Did you always know you wanted to be a broadcaster?
Oh, yeah. It started in the 6th grade. Wow. When I had a friend of mine, Johnny Zimbrew, bless his heart. Johnny, I talked to Johnny on the phone not too long ago, and he and I were big baseball fans, and we would play Stratomatic baseball. He had a Stratomatic baseball card set at home, and I had one at my house. And we played Stratomatic baseball on the phone. And we would, Stratomatic, for those of you who don't know, it's a card game based on stats, real life players, and it uses dice, and it uses what they call a split deck. They now have a split die, but and we used to play that, and I used to, on the phone, call the play-by-play action as we were doing it.
Wow. Back
in the 4th grade. And we would also go out and listen to baseball games on the radio on my front porch, whatever. We could pick up WSB in Atlanta. We could pick up 3WE in Cleveland. We could pick up WLW out of Cincinnati. And sometimes, if the atmosphere was just right, I could pick up WABC in New York and listen to the Yankees. And so I knew that's what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be a baseball announcer. There was no question in my mind. I wanted to travel with a team. I wanted to call the action. I just wanted to be able to get paid to watch a baseball game.
Yeah.
With that. And so that was my early childhood, and up until high school, when I was sophomore in high school in 1974, that's when wrestling came into my life. And so that's became, and I actually can remember this, and I know it's not part of the book. I know my father passed away in 74. So this was probably like 75, 76 when I'm trying to decide where to go to college. And my dad was from Pennsylvania. We lived in Virginia, and there was always talk about me going to Penn State. And I remember thinking that if I leave the area and go to Penn State, that I would leave my mom and I would leave Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. I wouldn't be able to see that on TV anymore. That was a consideration because I love Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling so much. And so I decided to stay and went to James Madison, which is like 30 miles from my house. So that was kind of the consideration of all that. That's how crazy my life was. But yeah, I always wanted to be an announcer. And then when wrestling started, I used to stand in front of a mirror and pretend I was interviewing people because I was thinking, hell, I can do that because I can run my mouth. I wasn't polished as an announcer, but I could run my mouth. We even had my senior year, I think it was my senior year, maybe my junior year in college, I had film class. It was like film 101, film 102, and everybody had a project. And I think it's still up in the attic somewhere. And you had to shoot it on film. You had to edit it down. So I got all my friends in Craigsville, and we did this story, no sound, about this guy who was a pro wrestler. And he and this guy had this big argument on TV. And then you cut to them getting drunk at a bar. Okay. And him staying out late and him coming home and his wife being pissed off at him. And the next time you see the guy, he's all beaten up and his head's wrapped because his wife beat the shit out of him. And all the wrestlers are like, what happened to you? Right. So that was my project, which got a good grade, by the way, as silly as it was. So that's how wrestling affected my life. But there was no question I wanted to be an announcer. And by golly, I was very, very fortunate to be able to work with the Atlanta Braves in the years I was away from college. It kind of like all fell into place for me in a way. So I'm never going to be a Major League Baseball announcer, but I've done Major League games on the radio. I've done Braves. I've done AAA games on the radio. I've done Braves spring training games. I've been on the Braves pregame and postgame show. So I've done my baseball, and now my life here is wrestling.
A beautiful thing. And you guys are trailblazing now. Tony, you're creating this comic book that's about your life.
Settle down, Phil. We're not trailblazing.
Well, to be fair, Tony, we have set records with this campaign already a couple days in.
Wow.
Sounds like trailblazing to me.
We're trailblazing. Very well.
Hey, cheers, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you.
So we've heard how John met Paul, so to speak, how you guys came together, but what's the creative process been like for you two? How have you guys been able to put words on the pages, so to speak?
Zoom calls, and you can fill in the blanks here. Zoom calls with a whole staff. And there was, we did another interview about, with the pandemic, it was difficult to get together. I think we would have done the same thing without the pandemic. Yeah. Because they're in Toledo and I'm in Atlanta or Marietta, and Drina's out west. Dave is in Huntsville, Alabama. So we just got together on Zoom. We had long Zooms, long talks, and they were fun. They really were. We cut up, we laughed, and then Dirk would write down a chapter based on what I told him, or he would formulate chapters and he would send it to me and I would look at it. And then on the next Zoom call, I would go over what I didn't like or what I did like. And that's kind of how it all came together via Zoom. And so, we live in some great times as far as technology is concerned, enabling us to do things like this.
Yeah. And you're right, Tony. I mean, it would have been Zoom either way,
right.
Just because we're spread all over the place, things like that. Mm-hmm. I think the bummer with the global situation is the way it is. It's like we can't get together to celebrate in person soon enough. We will. We're vigilant. We do what we got to do. We'll get there, Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was fun, and I mean, it was fun. It was fairly seamless, the only piece of that puzzle I guess would be missing was me approaching the different artists to do the different chapters and kind of giving them an idea of what their chapter would be. But we didn't do the chapters when we did our Zoom meetings. We didn't do the chapters in order either.
Right.
So it was kind of like I had to factor in, how fast the artists are. Like a guy like Josh Ross or Austin McKinley, who's very, very fast. I did some of their chapters last because I know they would just turn around and churn it and burn it and go, as opposed to some other artists who wanted to give more lead time on it and things like that. And stories that were interested, so there's a lot of factors. But after we had the stable lined up, and I was like, okay, Josh is quick, so I don't have to do chapter 8 yet right away, because he'll burn it out in 2 weeks, and it'll look phenomenal. But yeah, it was a fun process. It was cool. Like I said, I mean, it's late nights, but we had fun, man. It was fun jamming. And the thing that's, I kind of tell this joke internally a little bit is sometimes I would seem to drill down on minutia, because again, like Tony's saying, I'm kind of like formulating the story as the story as I go. It's all true. Everything in the book is true, but sometimes you have to kind of work that right angle. And when Tony's telling the story and things like that, okay, hold on. Well, what about this thing? And what always cracks me up, Tony, is like, you'll remember some things with such clarity. And then something else, which to me would be, I just need to know this thing. Like, I'm like, okay, well, like, what kind of clothes is this guy wearing? Because that's important for the artist. And he'd say, oh, well, he was wearing this blue blazer with gold pinstripes on it in a pink shirt. And I'm sitting there, typing this all down, typing. And he goes, and one of the buttons was missing. And I'm like, son of a gun. He's like, I don't remember what the guy was. And he's sitting right there.
What was the fuck?
I'm like, no, you gotta get it. He's like, he will remember which directions the antenna were facing on the television when he's watching it with Uncle John.
Yeah.
But then I asked him what this woman looks like to get some vague idea of what we're doing. And he's like,
yeah,
I don't remember that.
What was the guy wearing in 1994? Hell, I don't know. Draw something. Okay. I'm sure it'll be great. You got a great artist.
Yeah, you got great artists. Figure it out.
Yeah,
but at the same time, like, well, hold on. I wouldn't have cufflinks in that picture.
Yeah.
No, so, it just stuff like, I mean, it was fun. It was a blast.
It was really, really, it was. And Dirk, you and I have never talked about this, but because I appreciate everybody's work and effort in this, I really want to meet all these artists. I really want to not meet them via Zoom call, I guess, and talk to them and learn about their craft and learn about, how they, I'd like to see them work. I really do, because I care about everybody who's worked on this book. So I think that's something that obviously we need.
We do. We need, that's a good point. We need to set something up. It's crazy because the artists on this book are 10 primary artists. Well, 11 if you count Mariana, the cover artist. They're all over they're all over the United States.
Right.
Mariana's in Italy, but I know they would have. Yeah. Mariana Pascola. She's from Italy. She's from Milan.
Really?
Yeah.
Is she married? Is she married?
Her and Alessandro are a couple. He does the coloring, so be careful because otherwise you might look extra pasty.
Okay, because I was thinking about moving to Italy anyway.
They just had a baby. I do like babies because they just had a very beautiful.
No, I'll stay home. Because I told my wife one time, told Lois, I said, man, I'd love to move to Italy. Yeah. She said, I'm not. I said, you weren't invited.
Yeah. One of the things we've talked about, and actually is doing, they have a couple of very big Comic-Cons in Italy, in Milan, Tony. So I'm sure you have Italian fans, and with Mariana doing the cover,
well, my grandparents are from Italy. I mean, I'm like a second generation American. So.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk. Well, we're going to take that part of the conversation off the air, but
here we go. First class.
I haven't seen you do this yet. That's how I didn't know.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, so I really want to meet the artists. I really think that everybody who's worked on this book is important to my life. I really do. I want to tell them how much I appreciate them and what they've done. And I think that's very important. A comic, I've discovered a comic just like wrestling takes a lot of people to really make it work right, and takes a lot of good people. And I feel we have good people working on this.
We're going to we'll set up a giant Zoom time. We'll all just get together and something.
So
that'd be fun.
Tony, you mentioned earlier how, it's rare for a person to get to make a comic, let alone one about their life and their journey. But now you're kind of on the inside of that because you helped work on this. You facilitated this. So what have you learned about the creative process of making a comic book? And did you fall in love with it at all?
I fell in love with it. What I learned about the creative process is that you have to, if you're the subject of it, you have to really be prepared and really do your homework about your own life. So many things happen in my life that I had to sit back and remember those. So I had to be, and then once you get one memory, sometimes it leads to the next.
Right.
You guys are going to be my age one day, a long time from now, and you're going to have a lot of memories, and a lot of those memories are going to be stored, and it takes sometimes one memory to jog another one. We do this all the time on our podcast. When we first started our podcast, and we're in our 5th season of our podcast, Conrad and I, we would go back and examine my career. And I didn't always remember that. But then when we started watching shows together during our podcast, and I saw a show and I saw something I remembered, it immediately had me remember something else, something else, something else. So what I found about the creative process of comic books is that, as far as I'm concerned, you have to be able to just focus on yourself or on your past, and to be able to explain that to the people listening to you. I know, obviously, it would be, I'm sure it's the same about writing a book. I know. I mean, what's the only difference between graphic novels and books? I remember that I saw a guy on Twitter, he said, this graphic novel is great, but when are you coming out with a book? And a guy responded, tell me the difference between a graphic novel and a book quickly. Mm-hmm. And he had no answer. So I'm sure it's the same. I just think that I haven't really worked with the artist. Dirk's worked with the artist. I've only worked with Dirk, and I found out that you can tell your life in pictures as easily, maybe easier than you can with words. Pictures and words work great.
I'm glad I make it look so easy, Tony. I'm glad.
Oh, God. Yeah, man. Well, let me explain something to you, Sean. Dirk has worked so hard.
Sure.
There we go.
He has put so much time and effort in this, and I'm just like so amazed at his talent and his perseverance. That's inside term for pain in the ass. His perseverance and his dedication to the craft, that I knew that I was with the right person. So it's been good. And I need to say something about Drina too, because it's pretty, even with a lawyer on the Zoom, it's pretty apparent that she's the smartest person in the room. So it's good to have her, because I felt comfortable, because she kind of got it. And she made everybody snap in line in her own way. So I learned that it takes more than just a writer. It takes an editor. It takes artists to tell the story. And then it takes me to go back and make sure the story is right. So that's what I kind of learned about the process. And I learned it was a long process too. I mean, it's not something you could do in 2 Zooms over a span of a month. You got to really, you have to really go over the story, and then you have to go over it again, and you got to make sure the story is right. And so it's, you got to be very persistent. You really do. So absolutely. I think that's what I learned about it.
And speaking of Dirk, I mean, this is, Dirk is someone who I've known now for, 7, 8 years, and I knew him as just a fan before that, and so I'm very familiar with how hard he works and how dedicated he is to his craft. And I'm sure that
Okay.
Down the road I'll get to do an interview with Dirk where we will put him over until the end of time.
Please do.
I always, every year when we get together at New York Comic Con, I spend, I don't know, how long do our interviews go, Dirk? About 30 minutes live?
No, we're always like, because New York Comic Con is a nonstop show, and you got the camera and stuff. Like, okay, man, we can do like 15 minutes first thing, because, real quick, we'll knock it out. 30, 40 minutes later, we're still sitting there. There's people, waiting or whatever. Like, we're pausing the camera to sign books and stuff like that, then come back to it. So,
yeah. But
I think let me inject this. My first Comic-Con was 2019 C2E2. Conrad and I had a story. I had a stage show that Gabe Yoakum set up. It was tremendous, and also set up a table for us to sign autographs and meet people. And I remember my first Comic-Con, it was like, holy shit, look at this stuff. And I bought a lot of stuff. Okay? And I told Conrad, I said, book me in every Comic-Con you can find. I don't care what state it's in. I don't care what it is. I said, if I can make some money, great. But if I can just go to it, fine. I even called my daughter when we were first Comic-Con. I said, you've got to see this place. It's unbelievable. She said, well, tell me. I'm walking through it. I say, and look at, oh my God. And there's a DC and there's a Batman, and just,
it's magical.
Just magical. I've got a video somewhere of me with this Batman hood that I bought. Cal, I put it on, and I'm talking like I'm cool in a Comic-Con walking around Batman. And this guy really dressed up like Batman, interrupts me. He goes, you think you're Batman? I am Batman. I think this is so freaking cool. This is the greatest thing in the world. So I really want, when the Comic-Cons come back, you're going to see me there. You're going to see me there at a lot of them. And not necessarily there as with a table. You can see me walking around, because it's that's it, man. That's me. That is absolutely me. Those things are wonderful. So I hope to meet you guys too. Yeah,
likewise, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
There's going to be a fervor too with how things have been the last year for conventions to come back.
Sure.
Tony, you've got a lot of comic book stuff in there. Do you have a favorite comic book character, movie, stories, comic books? What are your favorite comics stuff?
Well, I always was a Batman guy. Always, and you can see most of it. There's a Superman thing. You can't see really everything, but this whole Batcave here, around. I got Batman stuff everywhere. There's my light. There's my dog. And over here, I got, how about this, man? I've got that right there is full of Batman memorabilia. And I've got some Star Wars things there too. And I've got pictures on the side here, big canvases on the side. So, but I was always a Batman guy, because to me, Batman was real. To me, Batman wasn't a mutant, wasn't from outer space, wasn't hit by some sort of ray and made him a superhero. He was just a guy. And I go back to the line, which I think is a cool line, in the Justice League movie, when Flash asked Batman, "What's your superpower?" And he said, "I'm rich." So that was a great line, man. That was a great line. So I always liked Batman. I really did. And everybody knows that. And that's why I call this the Batcave. And that's why, we painted it in gray. I didn't want any pastel colors in it and everything. And people have given me things. And, oh, by the way, my son got this, because he knows my love of Batman, got this for me for Christmas this past year. It didn't come in on Christmas Day. And he said, it's going to come in. You're going to love it. I said, really? He said, yeah. So he designed this for me, or had this designed for me.
Wow.
Which is, there's me as Batman, and there's Bug as Robin. Okay. And my wife, as you can imagine, who has no imagination, rolled her eyes, said, "Oh my God, don't you ever dress that dog up as Robin. Don't you ever do that."
It should be hanging in your living room.
Yeah.
Well, like your wedding picture, and then that.
I told my daughter, I said, I'm going to put it above the fireplace in the family room one day. I'm just going to hang it there and let it set and see how long it takes her to notice it. Just put it there. But yeah, this is, and then, when she said, "Don't you ever dress that dog up as Robin," all of a sudden I went, ding. People have to run around the house dressed. Huh?
You know they do.
Of course they do.
Yeah. Man.
If you guys,
sometimes the celebrities, will go to Comic-Cons in costume so they can just walk around.
Sure.
Right.
So what we'll have to watch for is a bearded Batman with a dog dressed up as Robin. Well, it's Tony Schiavone.
Well, listen, that's a hell of an idea.
I would love to see it. And if you guys want to check out what Tony just showed off, this gift, it's incredible and it's hilarious. And if you want to check it out, definitely do watch this on YouTube because you will love it. I guarantee it. We're closing in on the end of this conversation. I wish we could do this for 20 hours. Tony, you are such an incredible person to speak to because you have such a rich knowledge and understanding of not only wrestling, but clearly of comics as well. Your passion is what really comes through in these conversations. And
Thanks.
We need more ambassadors for comics. We need more people who are, not embedded in the world of comics as creators, but people who are sort of outside of it that say, hey, comics are cool too. And, we're going to lend our voices to support this industry. We need more people like you supporting it and being a part of it. And I want to thank you so much for that because that's what's going to help us move this thing forward.
Well, good. I'm glad you said that because I have I've always had an interest in comics, and now working with Dirk, I have even more interest in it. I have some ideas.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. Okay. If
got the itch,
I probably shouldn't say this because I work with Warner Media, and I love those people. But I wish somebody that really loved comics would buy DC.
We talk about that so often on the show.
That's something that's come up on our show a lot. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, you can see it, man. Okay. It's more than just about the movies, guys. Come on. It's about comics. And they should realize how important comics were because how popular the movies are because of the comics. But anyway, that's just
what would you write, Tony, if DC heard this and came to you and said, "Look, Schiavone, put your money where your mouth is."
Okay. I'd write about a dog. I'd write about a dog with a cape. Okay.
There it is.
Okay.
Money.
Yeah, write a dog, and he'd fly through the neighborhood. And every time one of the people didn't pick up their dog poop, he'd hit them in the head. Okay. You need to pick up that dog poop that your dog just laid down. Then he lift his leg and piss on their head. Something like that.
Oh,
that's a
Tony Schiavone's Super Pets.
That's a civil service right there.
You guys heard it here first. Whenever we interview Dirk, we love to get an exclusive, and we just got one from you right now. We can expect that comic. You've got a sale from me. Guaranteed as soon as it hits shops.
And hey, I'm all about it, but I'm just gonna remind you of something you said earlier, Tony. Make sure you get an editor. All right. Make sure you. I'm just from those calls. Make sure you get an editor, bro.
Yeah.
Now,
listen. I really. This is going to be weird to say, but I really, and I don't want to take up any more of your time. I really, movies that try to make a statement about humanity really turn me off. Okay. Yeah. Leave it. I want to be entertained. I want shit to blow up, but why not a comic book that tries to make humanity better? And I don't know. That's just one of my ideas. And I don't know what that is. I don't know if that involves a superhero or just an everyday person or what it is, but we got to make the world a better place. Anytime I see those, when you look on trailers and movies and they have those, the things that says, approved or one of the award winners from, whatever it is, I go click. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see an award winner. I want to see some shit blow up. Okay. So, but anyway, I was just thinking maybe that comics could do that too. And maybe it could lend a hand in making people better people because we need that. So,
well, I'll tell you what, comic books have made me a better person. my love of them and how they've impacted me have absolutely taught me life lessons.
There you go.
Some people may be surprised to hear this, some listeners, but wrestling has made me a better person and taught me life lessons. In between all of the violence and all of the, the nuttiness,
yes,
there has been a lot of lessons that I've learned through wrestling. And again, that's why I feel like it's such a perfect marriage.
Yeah, I agree with you, Sean. I learned a lesson this past Wednesday. And the lesson was, don't throw somebody on a stack of thumbtacks. That's a hell of a lesson, man. Okay.
So,
I'm glad for that, because you know what? Thursday morning, I had in my agenda, throw so and so, and you're right. It just was like, oh, hold on, maybe I should rethink this.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
So I would love to end this by showing you guys, we're talking here about Butts and Seats comic, right? buttsandseatscomic.com, which is on Kickstarter and has, many, many days left before the Kickstarter is over. Now it's funded. If you jump in now, you're able to get in on all the sweet perks, all the stretch goals and things like that, of which I think, 14?
14 stretch goals as of this recording.
Right.
And counting. We'll be adding more, really quick here. So by the time people see this, there'll be even more stretch goals.
And so
Tony's got a lot of dinners here.
or I'm going to have to shave my head, cut off locks of my hair, and put it in a bag or something.
And so if you love wrestling or you love comics or you love both, this is definitely a Kickstarter for you. It's a Kickstarter for me, and I want to show you guys that I actually have contributed. I jumped
Thank you
on
so much.
Absolutely. And I'm encouraging everyone that's listening to this to jump on as well. I believe in this project. I believe in Dirk Manning, and he's never let me down. And I believe in Tony Schiavone, who's the voice of my childhood as it relates to wrestling. And so please do support this book, buttsandseatscomic.com. I really, really want to thank you, Tony, for doing this. I really appreciate it. I know you don't like to be put over, but you've had such a profound impact on my childhood, and it's a pleasure to speak with you. Whenever you get your comic out, whatever next project is, please do stop by here again, and we can have another chat.
I will. Let me close this by saying that I hear that voice of my childhood all the time, and it does make me uncomfortable. But our podcast, What Happened When, which is on Westwood One, has, to some people during during this COVID time when they had some really bad things happen to them, they'll tell me, not only are you the voice of my childhood, but you've brightened my day, and you've made me laugh, and you've pulled me through some tough times. And I've talked to them. That means everything to me, that I've helped them. And so if this comic book can entertain people and make people smile and make people love comics again, then we've done the right thing. It's not about putting Tony Schiavone over. It's about entertaining people and helping people out during tough times, I think. So that's my feeling on that.
Absolutely. And you guys can see Tony every single week on AEW Dynamite, which is, of course, on Wednesdays at 8. Dirk, do you have anything that you want to plug, let the people know about?
Obviously, buttsandseatscomic.com. We are incredibly grateful for everybody's support. We're excited about this book. I think Butts and Seats is a book that, like Tony said, not only entertaining, but I genuinely feel this is a book that is also at times inspirational, which may sound really funny for a book about a guy who's lived his life amongst professional wrestlers, but Tony's story is very inspiring. I mean this in the most endearing sense of the word. It's an everyman story. It's a story about putting in the work. It's a story about getting through hard times, and then it's sprinkled in there is a lot of larger than life characters. So we appreciate everyone checking it out. And again, this book, as far as I'm concerned, is also a love letter to the medium of comics with the diversity of creators. Right now, as it sits, we have 25 artists on this book with us, and you're going to see 25 radically different styles as well. So thank you to everyone, buttsandseatscomic.com. That aside, Dirk Manning, Facebook, Instagram, God help me, even Twitter, I know, Tony, I know. Sometimes I've loosened up on not blocking people I should have. I'm trying to learn from you,
I
Master.
love blocking people, man. I love it.
I know.
My favorite things to do.
I know. I need to get better. Just boom. But no, I'll at Dirk Manning. Look for the avatar, the guy with the top hat and the scarf. And big ups to Source Point Press as well for publishing this book and things like that, and their continued support. If you love comic books and you have not been checking out stuff at Source Point Press, I might suggest Hope. I might suggest Haunted Highlands, Butts and Seats, Buried But Not Dead.
Anything else?
You got to put it over.
You got your whole catalog there. Reach behind you, pull some stuff out. Okay.
I even got one of these. You know,
Ooh,
yeah,
that.
look at that. Look at that. The ash can. We got yours coming, Tony. We got yours coming. I bought my own subscription box just to get the book.
Good.
We have more money to buy, but no. But yeah, and if you love comics, check out Source Point Press. You know, they are just doing such amazing books right now, and more people are discovering it. When you get back to Comic Cons, come see us at the Read Pop shows, come see us at other shows, you know, and support your local comic shops. Get in there; they need your help right now just as much as everybody else. And embrace the medium, work hard, be nice, no excuses, move forward, be positive, and let's just focus on the good stuff.
I love it, and Butts and Seats is the good stuff. Thank you so much to both of you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully we can do this again sometime, and we appreciate it.
Please, love to be on here again. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Wow. I am jazzed and electrified after that interview. I can't say enough how awesome it was to get to speak to Tony Schiavone. Go kickstart the book, buttsandseatscomic.com. Pete and Marco, you guys missed you missed a doozy.
I know you guys were mentioning it. It sounded like a lot of fun. I can't wait to go see it.
Yeah,
It's phenomenal.
I can't wait to hear the intro.
Yes,
that's right.
Oh man, yeah, you're gonna love it. But we've got a lot more show for you guys here, and we're gonna be talking about all the looks from the Hellfire Gala that have been revealed so far. We're going to be talking about a new Predator series coming from Marvel and what may be happening with the Punisher and his skull in the near future. But before we get into all that, we do have to get into the Pals polls. We're going to start with Marco. What's Stray Dog number 2?
All right. So Stray Dogs is an image series that was written and drawn by Tony Fleeks and Trish Forstner. They actually do the My Little Pony series. So they've come to Image to tell a story about dogs who, as it turns out, have very short memories. And they have to try to solve the murder of one of the dog's owners, but with the limitation that their memory pretty much resets every 7 minutes to overnight. And they have to try to figure out a way to solve this thing.
That's
honestly
funny.
It's funny. It's pretty dark, but all the characters are drawn almost like Disney dogs. So there's just incredible dissonance between the art style and the subject matter that I find fascinating.
Oh my god, I'm looking at the cover for issue number 1. And it's riffing on the Silence of the Lambs, and it's like it looks like a Disney character with the butterfly over the mouth.
Wow. Yep. Are they like All Dogs Go to Heaven dogs?
Yeah, it has that kind of look to it.
Oh my god.
But with a sinister edge, it looks like.
This was a book enough that I showed Miranda, and she's like, "Oh, that's interesting. I dig the art." And she's like, "We hit the end of the episode." She's like, "Oh, cool. Put up number 2." I'm like, "No. This is a monthly comic. Now you gotta wait for another 3 weeks." She's like, "Well, that's bullshit."
Welcome to reading comics.
Yeah.
Welcome to the nightmare. Well, you sold everybody on this podcast on the book, so
that's pretty good. Yeah, that's cool. Well, because when you said the My Little Pony thing, I was like, "Oh, is it like an all ages book?" And you're like, "Oh, it's a murder mystery." It's like, what the fuck? All right.
Phil chose the X-Men Inferno omnibus.
Yeah, this is one of those early big company-wide event crossovers. This is from 1989. This is the storyline that pretty much put Mr. Sinister on the map. It crosses over the Uncanny X-Men, X-Factor, X-Terminators, Excalibur, the New Mutants. This is the Madeline Pryor stuff when she became the Goblin Queen, for anyone that's familiar with that.
Yes.
We have
the horniest costume in comics, maybe.
That is a competition.
It's a contender.
Yeah. A lot of big names on this. There's Louis Simonson, Chris Claremont, Steve Englehart, Jerry Conway, who we've interviewed, and Achenti, Walter Simonson, so many others. this is classic X-Men, classic Marvel. This is my kind of stuff.
Fun fact, on sale right now on Amazon.
There you go.
I might have to purchase that because I actually have never read Inferno, and with the Hellfire Gala coming up and all the teases to Inferno that there have been, I feel like this might actually be, and especially the time of them putting this out now, I think it might be worth reading before the Hellfire Gala.
You know what we should do? You know how we did that extra book club on the show for death metal before we did Dark Knight? What's the second one? Whatever.
The second one is
metal, and then we did death metal. Right, that's the thing. Yes. We should do that with this. That would be cool.
With Inferno?
I would love to do that.
Yeah. Like let's read it, catch up, so that when we get to the Hellfire Gala, we're it's all fresh.
Well, okay. I'll be picking up my copy here when it drops, and then we can do that. I think.
Tell me when, Sean. I got it. Let's go.
All right. And then Marco and I both picked Alien #1.
Yes, bro.
Why did you do that, Marco?
Alien is the best. That's why. And
so who's on it?
I don't know. I don't care. Alien. You tell me Alien as a property in comics? Yes.
It's so funny. Well, I feel like there are two kinds of Alien fans. They're the kind that have that energy, and then they're the kind like me where it's like anything after Aliens, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know, guys. I don't know.
Did you guys read all the Alien versus Batman stuff or whatever? All the Alien versus comics?
No,
I saw the Alien movie, right? And I
break my heart.
Did not like it. I did not like it. I know it's blasphemy, but I only watched it what was last year, and I really didn't like it.
What?
But I didn't. But I love the style. Like I love the characters. I love the design of the alien and things like that. So yeah, the Xenomorph. So this is by Philip Kennedy Johnson and Salvador LaRocca.
Bro.
Obviously, yes, exactly. Obviously, Philip Kennedy Johnson is a star right now, or a rising star at least. And Salvador LaRocca is a rock solid artist who did some Star Wars stuff with Darth Vader and things like that. So this is a big book coming out of Marvel, and I'm excited because hopefully this can be my way in to the good part of the Alien franchise.
My God.
Nice. Yeah.
That you already watched the best one. If you don't like that, it's all over for you, bro.
Oh boy. If that's the best.
Sean would probably like Aliens more.
Sean probably like Aliens. Yeah.
Do you like the Terminator stuff, Sean?
Terminator is like my favorite. Terminator 2 is my favorite movie.
Yeah, it's James Cameron who did Aliens.
I know.
You'll dig that.
I'm waiting for the stench of Alien 1 to wear off.
God, bro. Like, that's just offensive at this point. Like, you don't like it, it's fine, but it's just now I'm taking it personally.
That's the only reason I'm saying these things. There you go. Did you shit on Justice League in the watch along?
Bro, go watch it. I was the one defending it more than anybody, probably.
Speaking of which, we did the Justice League watch along, Zack Snyder's Justice League. It was a success. I was not there. I opted out because I wanted to be able to watch the movie and enjoy it without harpies in my ear, making fun of every single aspect of it. But we did it. It went over. There is a video on YouTube. You can watch it if you missed out. And stay tuned because we're going to be doing more things like that in the future. And the way you can know about those things in advance is by joining our Discord server, where we're always announcing whatever events we're doing. We're having great conversations and things like that. Also out now is our Falcon Winter Soldier We Watched episode. That show, of course, started on Friday. And we did our review and we put that out for you guys. So go check that out. We'll be doing it weekly for the next 5 weeks as the show rolls along. So you're going to want to check that out as well. Of course, other additions in our We Watch series include WandaVision and Watchmen. So we're leaving the W's. Actually, we're still in the W's because of Winter Soldier.
Yep.
We collect the W's, baby. All we do is win.
When I was like editing the file, I have it saved as Winter Falcon because I like the WWWF.
I love it. The WWWF.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That's brilliant. And then speaking of the WWWF, the Winter Falcon fanfic is out.
That's right.
Right. Written by one of our listeners, Catherine came through with the Winter Falcon fanfic. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Do we know if that's? I know it's out, but is it? Did you guys get to read it?
I didn't get to read it yet. No.
Okay.
It was a tender story. I liked it.
Yes. So we'll have a link to that as well for you guys to check out if you want to see your boys in a very different situation than the one that they're in the show.
I feel like we got to do a dramatic reading of it. I think that's the next step.
Oh, I'm preparing my lines.
Who do you want to play, Marco?
I am Bucky.
Okay.
I am not Falcon.
What? Sean, why did your mind go there?
I thought I was Falcon.
I was gonna put
I feel like Phil's the natural choice, right? Like he looks just like Anthony Mackie.
I get it all the time.
High cheekbones and everything, you know?
Unbelievable. And then, by the way, we just did the interview with Tony and Dirk, and I want to let you guys know that we've got a lot of interviews out there. If you like that, if you like what you heard, we have plenty of interviews, whether they were on this podcast or at the many, many conventions that we've done over the years since we started this thing. We've got a lot of them out there, and I think that if you like what we just did, you're going to want to hear those as well. So, give those a bump. Check them out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. And I guarantee you that we've interviewed someone that you are a fan of. So
that's true.
Check out our backlog of interviews for sure. And then Pete, is there an announcement? Is there not something that we're doing this month? Maybe two things we're doing this month that people might be interested in hearing about?
Two incredible. Just
this is where you fast forward, listeners.
No, look, listen, all right? Phil's a fucking casual. He doesn't even read comics. Like, I don't want to hear him. He's like, oh, yeah, Superman's really great. I watched that movie in 1978, and that was the peak of cinema. Yeah, we get it, Phil. Shut the fuck up, all right? A real fan is talking right now because we have two premium pieces of content that I'm going to give you for free coming later this month, which is, of course, our Invincible book club, where we read the first 35 issues of Invincible. That's also including number 0 and the Marvel Presents 15 tie-in as well. And then the free comic book day as well. You can get the whole list over on our Instagram if you want to see every book that we're reading for the book club. But of course, Invincible, my favorite comic. I have been trying to get the gang to read it since before we even did the Comics Pals, at least with Sean. And I am super excited to finally get to share it with all of them and with all of you. I know we have a bunch of Invincible fans over in the Discord who are excited to see us do this as well. And then, of course, starting next week on March 26th, Invincible's animated series will be dropping on Amazon Prime. And we will, of course, be doing We Watch Invincible. So that's two. What was that?
We Watch Winvincible.
Winvincible. There we go. I like it. I like it a lot. Fun fact, actually, the letters column in the back of Invincible for its entire run was called Invincipals.
Oh, wow. Synergy.
It's good shit.
Wait a second. Can we not? Can we use that?
I'll hit up Kirkman. We're boys ever since that interview.
There's an interview for you right there. Go check out Pete's interview with Robert Kirkman.
Ooh,
Phil, or Ryan Otley.
3 more.
What's that?
Phil, give me 3 more.
Nope.
All right.
We're only talking about Invincible right now, Marco.
I mean, I've interviewed Ryan at least 3 times, so you can get a few of them. There you go. But so we'll be doing that as well. That's going to be posting on Fridays, so you'll be able to get a double dose of We Watch for the next couple weeks. Invincible runs for, I want to say, I think it's 6 weeks, so it should be 1 week beyond Falcon Winter Soldier. But yeah, keep it tuned for that stuff. I'm super excited to be able to get to do some Invincible content, and I've got some more planned for you around it as well. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled. Plenty to come if you're a fan of Invincible, and if you haven't checked it out, but you've heard me talk about it, and maybe you've been interested, no better time to take the plunge.
So, speaking of things that we are excited about over on these parts, we know that the Hellfire Gala, Marvel's version of the Met Gala, is coming. We know that. What we didn't know was how these characters are going to be dressed, and that's really what that's really what you tune in to events like the Oscars and the Met Gala for. It's not the awards. It's not any of that. It's the look. And Russell Dauterman is the artist that Marvel tapped to design some of these looks for these characters. And Russell did an interview where he teamed up with Entertainment Weekly this past week to, to dish a little bit about how these characters were going to be dressed. And when I tell you it is hot fire, I'm telling you it's hot fire. Like the Storm outfit.
Oof. Fucking amazing. All right. Like, I know I talk about how great Russell Dauterman does all the time, but like, holy shit, did he outdo himself with this stuff? These designs are wicked.
They are. They absolutely are. And so this is what he had to say, because he did this interview. And so he said, my general thought was that the gala aesthetic should be high fashion X-Men costumes, mutant clothes, not high fashion human clothes.
Yeah.
So I looked at a lot of fashion reference, but tried to think, what would the X costume version of this be? The looks reference and take inspiration from Couture by Alexander McQueen, Iris Van Herpen, Balmain, Moschino, Givenchy, Versace, Gaultier, Gucci, and more. I also drew from the characters' past costumes. So that's pretty incredible. And what I want to do is, for you guys that are listening on YouTube, I want to be able to show you guys what these costumes look like right here now, so that you can check it out alongside the rest of us. Pete, is that cool?
Yeah, pull it up.
All right.
Do it up.
I'm going
wait a minute.
to...
I promise it's going to be fine. Just 1 second here. Okay, there we go. We're good.
All right. So we're gonna get you guys on YouTube checking out some of these looks. So can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not quite. It says you started sharing it, but we don't see anything.
There we go.
Okay.
There it is.
All right.
Popped right in.
So we're tapped in, and you can see here the Storm outfit. Keeps wanting me to go to Pinterest. How do I do this
you
up?
click the
There
one,
we go.
the bottom left corner.
So we're looking at Storm here, and just like, she's literally wearing weather.
Oh, you know what you could do, Sean? If you right click and open image in new tab or view image, we might be able to blow it up even more.
That's
there we go.
That's as good as it's gonna get.
I think if you now you could zoom and scroll.
So she's literally wearing weather right now, which is tremendous. You can see it kind of resembles one of her earlier costumes, where she wore the black and gold, and there was some white.
And she always has like the big cape, but now it's just a cloud. Oh my god, it's so cool. Yeah. And like the heel, like the shape of the heel is like so weird. Love it. And like I love like the gold the rings around like her wrists to like her forearm, but it's also like on the neck, and like it kind of looks like a neck extender.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Good point.
So she's repping her African heritage very well with this design, and then also just looking so regal, so beautiful. Storm embodies all of those things, and I think in this outfit, maybe more than any of the other ones except for Emma, Russell really dialed in on representing the character as much as the design. Like, it's a perfect marriage.
And like I know we got to look at the other ones, so we'll move on. But like I also really like the headdress that is also like earrings.
Yeah, those are cool.
That's
the different
so cool.
sizes.
Yeah. He just a phenomenal job with that one. And so he did speak to it. He said, so I gave her cape a design. I gave her a cape made of clouds and lightning. He said, and I just think it looks amazing. So let's move on to Jean Grey.
Of course,
my favorite of all of the X characters. So this one is a little more, well, I was gonna say scaled back, but you do have that amazing cape that she's rocking,
and like
across the floor,
the backless, like the cutout is like that's cool as fuck.
Yeah, I love that.
That's a very like high fashion thing, you know.
Yes,
and again, the the chunky heel there that she has on.
Chunky.
Yeah, he's right though. It is a chunky heel, and then it's got like the weird like ankle jewelry or whatever, like
anklet thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think it's perfect.
Yeah, I think she looks great. I've been a big fan of the way that Jean has looked since the House and Powers began, and I think that this synthesizes. It doesn't really reach too far back into her history so much as it just synthesizes what she's already kind of looked like into a design that makes sense for where she's at right now.
Wait, so those yellow things floating around her head, is that part of the outfit? Because it says telekinetically holding up floating X headpiece.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I love
as
that.
advertised.
Yeah, that's her. Like every time she would activate, I think like in the older comics, she would have like the things bounce out. So
yeah.
Yep. So that's pretty sick.
Russell's Jean is like my favorite Jean. I love the way he draws her.
Yeah. Yep. And by the way, we're gonna see this a little more when we get to Emma, but my man Russell Dauterman can draw some hands. Like, look at her hands.
I know. He's just so
look at her
good.
fingers. Yeah, it's crazy. So that's Jean.
You gonna scroll down to her feet next, Sean?
They're covered. So
we already talked about how good the shoes are, Marco.
So here we go with Cyclops now.
Yo, his visor.
I was gonna say, can we talk about how fucking cool that visor is?
Yeah.
That looks like some future soldier, but like also a king kind of shit. Like it reminded me of the from the DC universe, the Royal Flush Gang for some reason from Batman Beyond.
Huh.
Oh, interesting. You know, for whatever reason, like I saw it and I'm like, it reminds me of like Black Bolt meets RoboCop.
I was gonna say this. I get Judge Dredd out of this.
Oh yeah, totally. I really like the yellow palms on the gloves, and then the that extend to the X on the hands. Mm-hmm. Cyclops living that straight edge lifestyle. That's pretty cool.
That's sick.
Sick. I didn't know he was into hardcore like that, but and I really like that the jacket has like, it's got kind of like an old school, you know, like it looks like a military coat from like, you know, Revolution era or something, but with the X kind of woven in and like those very like broad pointy shoulders, which is like a super high fashion thing. It's neat, man.
Yeah, it looks kind of futuristic.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I think he did a very good job with Cyclops, and I love that the X is not all the way filled in.
Yeah.
On the chest piece, it's just kind of a small little touch. But yeah, I think Cyclops looks pretty cool. And then yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna just say, I think that like Marco is right that it draws a good like mix of looking regal, but also still kind of like war look, because he's such a military type guy, you know.
Well, this look is certainly far from regal.
This is Carnage, right?
Yeah, it's just Carnage.
Yeah, it's straight up Carnage. And I can imagine all of the fans of one Rachel Summers are now asking for her to be able to step on them, because look at those shoes.
Those fucking heels.
Dude,
yeah.
This is so what they're actually doing is aping on an early 2000s style known as the penance look. Dude, this was my least favorite, unfortunately.
Yeah. This is really the only one that I didn't love.
It's cool. It's like loud and out there, but it's just not. I'm not as familiar with Rachel, so I don't know how much this ties into her powers necessarily. But this one was just like, all right.
It definitely does. When it felt appropriate based on who she is, but just in terms of like, you know, what's aesthetically pleasing, what's visually pleasing, this isn't my my jam.
I think for me, this is the one that just looks the most like a thing in a comic book. Like it just looks like a villain from like the 90s, or like if she was taken over by Carnage, you know. And it's like, okay, whatever. Like everything else looks like a unique design that looks like a high fashion X-Man costume, you know.
Spawn would fight her. I can see that.
Yeah, right. Like that looks like a Spawn character for sure.
So here, Dauterman said Leah Williams wanted Rachel in a version of her hound look, and also suggested some sort of muzzle. So I pushed the silhouette with a liquid latex look, meant to be organic and weird. And again, like
comes across
her when she was one of the hounds, this was something similar to what she rocked.
Yeah.
And she even has one leashed. You can see towards the bottom left there, she's got one of the hounds actually leashed. So it makes sense, but I wasn't a big fan of it. What do you guys think about Angel?
Angel looks like it reminds me of the cover to the Outcast album, Speaker Box.
The Love Below.
The Love Below.
Yeah. You know, like where they have like those like super flowy like coats on or whatever, like the open shirts and shit. I don't know.
I see. For me, I was seeing this is big himbo energy is what I'm getting. Like he looks like he should be in Zoolander.
Yeah, sure.
Wow.
The fact that it's like the open coat and it's like kind of like a shawl is neat. Like that's like it's like a cape but a jacket. I don't know. It's kind of neat.
Yeah, this really felt perfect for Angel.
Yeah.
I like his hit the mark down.
I was gonna say I like the makeup too. Yeah.
Cool.
It's like it kind of reminds me of like David Bowie a little bit too. Like it's like very like
okay.
You know,
Yes,
like
very
a little
much so.
androgynous.
Yo, this was one of my favorites.
This is a cool one. Yeah.
This is Monet's look. And
That fucking headpiece is wild.
yeah, I'm loving the headpiece. She's got the like, how would you describe
sheer?
This? Sheer, right? Yeah, she's got this like sheer kind of dress thing on,
but they're
then you can
pants.
see underneath. I guess they are pants.
But it does look like it. That's the cool thing about it is that it's like a weird modular kind of thing.
Yeah. You can tell that I don't spend a lot of time, speaking about women's clothes, but I think she looks great. And then again, one of my favorite things about Russell Dauterman's art is the way he draws hands and gloves.
These
And
gloves.
I made sure to call out in the Jean Grey Emma Frost giant size X-Men that Emma's gloves barely fit her hands. And I love that. And here again, we see these gloves are going to slip off. They're barely on her hands. But I love it.
And they have this like weird point in them. Like they're so cool though.
Yeah, what's that about?
And like
they match her shoes.
Well, and I like that.
It has the if you look up, it has the point. If you scroll back up.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's all like spiky themed.
And the fact that like everything has the weird like angular like X patterns woven in to like make these like diamond shapes and stuff too. And then like I like the eye makeup that's like just the interior kind of swoop that's like almost like a kind of like a geisha thing. You know what I mean? Like they usually have like the red interior.
Well, let's see what Monet, let's see what Russell Dauterman had to say about Monet's style. He said, M's outfit is a gala version of a pantsuit, but the fascinator is meant to echo her penance hair.
Oh, so there was a penance inspiration.
Pretty cool. Now we get into Captain Britain, of course, Betsy Braddock.
This looks like an outfit from Snot Girl.
Right? Yeah.
Right?
I was thinking
she looks like Cute Girl.
Was it Wicked and Divine or
sure?
What's her name? Oh my God, Lady Gaga or something? Like
Yes.
I like the British inspiration with like the like puffy sleeves, like a petticoat kind of vibe, and like lace around the collar. The ribbons flowing off too, like has a kind of like a Sailor Moon vibe, which is cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say this feels like an anime character.
Well, and she's got like the telekinetic butterflies in an X shape too. That's like very like magical girl.
I really like using like telekinesis for like fashion accessories. I think that's really novel.
Yeah.
It is, yeah, and kudos to Russell and the team for keying into unique ways to utilize the character's powers to present fashion in a different way than humans would.
Yeah, it speaks to like the entire thing that's been cool about Krakoa, right? Is like, how would the mutants have a government? How would they have religion? How would they have? It's like, oh yeah, fashion. Like fashion is one of the most human things in the world, right? Expressing yourself through your clothing, like that's a huge part of every culture.
This is very rogue.
This might be my favorite of all of the designs. This is bomb.
She should just wear this.
Emma. My God,
it's cool as fuck.
Rogue looks phenomenal. This is amazing. Look at her neck. Look at that. Look at that swooping like I don't even know. Like that just looks so cool, and her hair's perfect.
It's almost like it reminds me of like a Dracula, like like those really tall collars.
Look at the posture in her face. Like she knows she looks good. Look at that. Yeah. Look at that. She knows.
It's a power pose. And again, it's like those very bold, angular fucking shoulder pads and like.
Oh, I'm here for the shoulder pads.
They're great,
90s, baby.
Yeah, man. And again, like a really, really bold heel, really cool gloves that have like a kind of like that like leather jacket biker look to them, but make it high fashion.
Donovan calls attention. He calls attention to like the lace, like in between the connecting everything, and that's like a nice touch.
A little bit of under boob, not too much, just a little tasteful, right? Yeah. And the fucking belt, the X for the belt with the
you gotta get the X in there somewhere.
That's good shit,
dude. It's like hanging off to the side, like when the emo kids used to have like all their keys and shit. Like, connected to something. Dude, so this was my least favorite.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
I still like it better than Rachel's.
You know what? She looks like Scarlet Witch from X-Men Evolution.
It does kind of look like that. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I don't hate it, but I just like I get it, the pirate thing. Like that's like what she's into right now and everything. But like, I do think it looks a little too Scarlet Witch. I don't look at this and think Kitty.
It's funny. The two you guys like the least are actually my favorites: the Rachel Summers and the Kate Pride. I think this is bomb.
I don't dislike it.
Strong women to step on you.
Yes, that's exactly what
who doesn't. It's fine.
He wants to lick the boot and get squished by the point.
I do really like the eye patch thing on this for her. That's really cool.
Oh yeah.
Like the jewelry and like the ornamentation of the outfit I like better than the outfit itself.
Yeah. So let's get into Emma. Because she has not one, not two, but 3 outfits.
Of course she does, because she is extra, and she needs you to know it.
So Russell said, the whole world is watching us now. We must be nothing less than fabulous. Is it any surprise that Emma would have not one, not two, but 3 outfits for the Hellfire Gala? And so we'll check out the first one here now. It is absolutely over the top. She's wearing a massive coat, which she's known for.
With the X boob cut out.
Yeah, she's got an X boob cut out in her coat. The only parts of her body you can see are her head, her chest, and her legs and shoes. And this is just absolutely over the top.
This is like
she's doing.
This is one of those like perfect high fashion things too, right? Of like you have this like giant fur coat, and then you just like have a cutout so that you can see their body anyway. Like it's so like
amazing.
It's needless, right? Like you would only wear this to look, fabulous.
This outfit accentuates the fact that she knows she's a bad bitch. Like
the crown, too is fucking cool.
The crown and the shoes are really nice accents.
Yeah.
So let's jump into her second look.
This shit is epic.
Yeah, this is fire. So in her second look, she's in her diamond form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is so cool. And she's wearing a barely there outfit. You can see everything's on display. Everything is on display. The ass is on display. Everything's on display. But what I love is the hair. That's the thing I probably love the most is the shorter, like, straightened hair. It's like kind of like
reminds me of Android 18 from DBZ. What I love about this one is I love the jacket thing that she has on, like sport coat or whatever, and it's like asymmetrical. That's really cool. And again, we've got like the modern X logo as like the pinning in the middle.
Yeah,
very neat.
Yeah,
and like she like throws off her coat. And it becomes a cape that like drags behind her, like, and again, just hanging down from the wrists because it's like gloves, I guess. Russell Donovan loves gloves, man.
Yeah, she looks incredible here.
It's fucking epic.
It looks like there's like a continuation between the diamond piece where before you could see only like her like for the shoes, for example, where it was all just the diamond look, and then they're adding the white piece on top, where she has become diamond and they're adding the white piece on top.
Oh, I didn't notice that. That's a good call out, Marco. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's get into her third and final and arguably most fabulous look.
Oof.
Yeah, this shit is just like classic.
Look at that.
Like,
unreal.
Again, those gloves, though.
I'm in heaven when I see those.
Talk about these gloves.
They're not on her wrists.
They're finger covers. They're finger gloves.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I've never seen those in anyone else's designs. It's like a Russell thing.
It's an exclusive. Yeah, absolutely. She retained the shorter hairstyle, which I love. She's in diamond form. She's got on the dress, I think the J-Lo type dress.
Oh,
where
yeah.
It's she moves too far to the left or right. You're going to see a lot more of Emma than you ever thought you would. And you're going to be glad you did.
It's and then like the again, like to look at the shoes, like this is a mix of the two styles, which is cool. Mm-hmm. Like the diamond parts on the front, and then the white looks like it's on the heel and then goes up on the ankles for the straps. Yeah, this is like very classic.
Yeah, it's brilliant and we love it. And one of the things, as I stopped sharing here, one of the things that I saw a lot of people requesting was to see how Nightcrawler is going to look.
My man. That's all I could think about.
And so that's going to be pretty cool. If you haven't yet seen, I don't have it in front of me, but if you haven't yet seen how Pepe Larraz drew these characters on a cover for Planet Size X-Men, you have to see it. They look amazing. I
really hope we get to see a lot more of these. Like, I hope that like all of the characters we think of get a look like this, you know?
Yeah.
Except maybe like a Wolverine, like anybody who wouldn't go, that's fine. But like
he'll be there and he's gonna have a bomb suit. You already know.
That's what I like. That'd be sick.
Have a cowboy hat on.
Oh, I don't know about that.
But like, I can imagine it with like he's got like a Burt Reynolds vibe, you know, like it's like he's in a dope suit, bolo tie with like a cowboy hat, not a 10-gallon, but like just a little one, you know.
And you know, Kurt's got to be there to invoke the first law of
hell yeah, dude.
And like, you know, I want to see, like they called out Nightcrawler. I'd love to see more mutants that have like a unique thing, like the way that the psychic stuff was being utilized was cool. Like what does like Pyro's outfit look like? And like, is there like, you know, flames incorporated in it? Like Iceman. Yeah. Like those are ones that I think would be really, really cool to see. And obviously, like, I'm sure Russell can't just design these outfits all day, but I sure would like them to pay him to.
I'm not sure that he can. Like, I think he can, and I think he did.
I hope so. Like, the fact that we just had, like, a 30-minute segment of just, like, who wore it best? The X-Men. Like, I love this. Can we do this every week?
It's so fun, and, you know, that's why the X-Men stuff is the most exciting stuff happening at Marvel, because when did you ever get this? Like, we used to have the swimsuit covers back in the day, where the men and women would be in their swimsuits, and, you know, there were issues where they would be just by the beach and by the pool and things like that. And, you know, that's something that a lot of fans of the X-Men remember and resonate with. And this isn't that, but getting to see them in different outfits and different styles and things like that is so fun.
Someone that I think I'd like to see is Magneto, like the higher ups on the the quiet cancel people. Like I'd like to see how they're gonna sort of work out and stuff.
I want to see Mystique roll in and change her whole look.
That would be cool.
Every panel, every page, I want to see her be different.
That'd be wild.
That would be cool.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of mileage on this idea, so hopefully Marvel is going to play with that, and I'm sure there will. This seems like something that the creators are having fun with, and by the nature of that, we're going to be able to have fun with it too. So, Planet Size X-Men, of course, drops on my birthday, June 16th, and we're all going to be basking in the glory of what the Hellfire Gala has to offer.
I'm so excited.
So something else that I'm excited about is a new Predator series coming from Marvel. I think we did the article, the news story a few months back about how they got the rights to Predator and they finally announced what they're going to do with it. And so Predator #1 is going to be coming, and it's written by Ed Brisson.
There you go.
All right.
Yeah, who's just coming off of X-Force, and Kev Walker is going to be doing the art. And it's also coming out in June. So they put out a couple of covers and stuff like that, and it looks great. It looks really cool. I actually have never seen Predator, the movie.
Well, really?
Yeah, never seen Predator.
I don't know if you should. I don't know.
I feel like he would. It's an action 80s movie. That's perfect.
It's a great Schwarzenegger movie, man.
Yeah, the Predator movies are fun.
It's got Jesse Ventura in it.
Ooh.
The mind, the body, and the soul.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited about this because Ed Brisson's been a little bit quiet. He hasn't really been doing much since his time with X-Force kind of wrapped up and his time with Cable. And so that's exciting. And I think that his style is going to lend a lot to what I think Predator is like. So I'm into this.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've read the Predator versus Archie series. Heavily recommend. It's buck wild, but so fucking funny.
What a weird collaboration there.
It was.
No.
Sit up. How the hell are you?
Oh, is that now who are you doing an impression of? Is that Predator, Marco?
That was from Predator. So
yeah, that's the Predator, bro.
That's the Predator?
Yeah, that's the Predator.
You'll kill the Predators.
The Ice Age.
There you go. Thank you.
Yep, I got you.
I'm done.
I was hoping Marco would have done it. His voice is a little better than yours.
That was a low effort Predator impression. No, Ed Brisson's a really good fit for this, I think. This is sort of his wheelhouse, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I could totally see him being a good fit for it. I don't know. I feel like Predator is like... I think Predator is a little easier to adapt in a way that's satisfying, at least in my mind, than Aliens. Because I feel like as Aliens has gone on, they've gotten more and more into like the lore, and like Prometheus, right, was like very like lore heavy and like here's how everything works, and
loved it. I thought Alien was gonna be like that, and I was so mad at it.
That is crazy to me.
I hate Prometheus. It's so funny. And it's not even that I hate it. It's just like it's whatever. It's not what I wanted it to be. But with Predator, I feel like, I don't know, Predator is like such a perfect like slasher style movie monster, right? Where like you don't need to understand the hierarchy of their planet or whatever. It's just like, okay, yeah, they're a species that just loves to hunt. Got it. Like, set up some characters and have the Predator try to kill them. Like, that's it, right? Like, that's all you got to do.
A lot of the sequel Predator movies have attempted to explain the hierarchy of the Predator species, though.
That's what I want. I want that.
I don't think you need it, you know? And, like, if they go there and it's good, whatever, but, like, I feel like he works so well as, like, you know, like a Jason style, kind of just like a unstoppable force, you know, that you need to try to overcome.
Well, we don't have long to wait for this book. It does drop in June, and I at least will be coming for at least the first issue to see what they do with it, and maybe I'll watch the movie.
Cool.
So I'll report back with my thoughts on the movie. Maybe I'll hate it as much as I hated Alien.
That wouldn't hurt me as much. It's okay.
What would hurt me is if the following is true. So this is coming from Bleeding Cool, and they have an article titled, "Is Marvel's Punisher Losing His Skull?" So, of course, we know that the Punisher has been a character that, as Marvel has tried to utilize him a little more with the television series over at Netflix and things like that, heat has been on this character. People felt like he was not a good character to be showcasing in a television show like Netflix's, and that his hyper-violent nature was the antithesis of what superheroes are supposed to be. On top of that, we had incidents where cops have worn his insignia, whether they had it emblazoned into their gun or on their own person and things like that, that have upset a lot of people. Of course, Disney notoriously silent on that issue, and creators of all kinds have come out and spoken about their frustration with the way that Punisher has been used by police across this country. What was Marvel's reaction? They haven't really had one, but they quietly canceled Punisher's series and then canceled a series of Punisher versus Barracuda that was in the midst of being produced by the creators. I think they said they got 4 issues deep, and then it was simply canceled. And now we see that in Heroes Reborn and in Heroes Return, the Punisher that they're showing us does not have a skull on his chest. His new design, at least as it pertains to Heroes Reborn and Heroes Return, does not feature the skull. It features something that it's like a white body armor.
It looks like a chest plate.
Yeah,
a chest plate that reminds you of the skull, but it isn't the skull. And so we've talked about what to do with the Punisher in the past, and now that this is what we're seeing here, if they decide to remove the skull and go with this going forward, how do you guys feel about that?
I think it's a lost opportunity. We have talked about it in the past, and it's a lost opportunity in the way to correct the sort of idea that the skull represents, because Marvel and the comics and the fans have the capability to be able to sort of reshift that narrative. Jerry Conway has been extremely influential in trying to be able to change the narrative around it. And
just for context, if you don't know, Jerry Conway, the creator of the Punisher.
Yeah.
Right.
And his whole thing has been, we need to realize what the character actually represents, and it isn't what people now, either within some far leaning political sphere or people who advocate for violence or something, sort of take it, that narrative needs to be corrected, and something needs to be done both from a creative standpoint and from an IP standpoint. And that's something that I think, for them to just totally ignore and eschew, I think is doing more damage to the character, because then it's like, well, the people now who have that and wear that sort of symbol, that's what it's going to mean, because they're the ones actually who have it on, who are emblazing it on their trucks or on their t-shirts or whatever the fuck, right? Whereas here, Marvel decided, oh, we're going to separate ourselves from that, because that's not what it is, versus saying, no, we're going to try to separate us from them because this is what it means.
I don't know what you can do if you're Disney, honestly. I mean, the people that have come to take that skull to mean something else than it was originally intended are going to do what they're going to do regardless. And these people don't read Punisher comics or anything. At most they've seen maybe the old Punisher movies or something. It's something that has taken on another life for that type of person. So for Disney, it's kind of a losing battle. And even if they do take away the skull from the Punisher, it's going to remain synonymous with the Punisher long after. Because like I said, these people aren't reading the comics.
I think even if they were, they've chosen this as a symbol that resonates with them, and I don't think that that's going to go away, no matter what Disney or Marvel do or say.
Yeah, like if Marvel puts out a book tomorrow, right, where the Punisher is like shouting at the reader, right, that I condemn these kinds of people and this kinds of action, they would be like, oh, fucking SJWs, they're trying to appease this kind of person, whatever.
It's the Pepe the Frog thing, right, where this like popular internet meme was somehow associated now with co-opted with alt-right, kind of Nazi adjacent, memes on Twitter. And the guy who created it was like, this is never what I created it for. He like went to court to try to find a way to salvage it.
I want to jump in here, and I'm glad you brought that up, Phil, because that's the problem, and that's why I'm bothered by this.
Please go on.
Is we've talked about other stories on this show. I brought it up before when we've talked about the Punisher. So if you're a longtime listener, forgive me if this is an example you've heard before, right? But like Marvel wouldn't allow a family to put Spider-Man's logo on their child's grave when he died of cancer, I believe it was, right? It was a very young child. And they wouldn't allow that because that was copyright infringement. Disney has sued schools for painting illegal murals of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, right? Like, they are extremely litigious about their IP and about controlling their IP when it behooves them, right? And I think, for me, I think it's pretty fucking clear why they're not doing this. It's because, and this is the thing that Sean brings up quite a bit when we get to these stories, is because I think they know that there are quite a few people in that group that are a major portion of their market and that they don't want to piss them off. And that this is the easiest way to disassociate the Punisher from that symbol, that symbology, and be able to still publish books with the character and make money and profit off of it without having to make any kind of statement or go to court or deal with negative PR or anything. And I think that that's fucking extremely telling about their politics as an organization, right? That when it's inconvenient or might cost them money, they're not willing to protect their IP. But when it's a school that you can strong arm with your lawyers, that's fine. Cool.
Pete, every if we give it to one kid's grave, every kid's gonna want one.
Yikes!
And that would be such a problem, right?
It's cowardice, and you know, I know that's a strong statement, but you know, the Punisher. Look, I've seen a lot of douchebags who have Superman logos on their body, or you know, they wear the T-shirt or whatever, and they're not good people. Okay, so any kind of symbol, any kind of character that people fall in love with, you know, they're going to associate with themselves whether that character is actually representative of their values or not, because we're all living in our own world at the end of the day. And so I don't think that what someone associates the Punisher with should have any bearing on how he looks or the kinds of stories that can be told with the character in the comics or anywhere else. And Marvel and Disney essentially saying, okay, we're not willing to talk about this. We're not willing to confront this. We're just going to quietly change his costume and keep it moving. Doesn't solve anybody's problems. No. The only thing it does is it makes it so that when Punisher #1 comes out, which, you know, inevitably, and he's not wearing that costume, that people won't immediately jump the gun and go, oh, how could you still publish Punisher with that costume, knowing the way that people use it? And it's like, guess what, guy? They're still going to do it. So this is a cowardly move. It's trying to appease two groups of people you can never satisfy, and to do it without a word. They're doing it without saying anything. And maybe we're jumping the gun. Maybe when the Heroes Return stuff and the Heroes Reborn stuff is over, Punisher will go back to what he normally wears. And then, of course, you know,
that's important to call out, right? Characters change their costume all the time.
Exactly. We're only talking about if they're doing this going forward as a way to avoid the backlash. And if that's the case, then in my mind, that's cowardly.
Yeah, and I agree.
I mean, and are they not going to continue to sell merchandise that brandishes that logo?
Yeah, exactly, because otherwise they would be letting the IP lapse, and they're not going to do that because there's fucking money in it.
It doesn't matter, frankly, if they take the logo off the character in the comic book, because I think in the grand scheme of things, that's honestly in the bottom of the totem pole of priorities for that IP recognition that you were talking about.
Sure.
T-shirts.
What happens?
Go on.
Yeah. Well, what happens when they try to put out the next Punisher movie or TV show? Or like, are you just not going to use a logo? That's asinine. It's insane. And if we were talking about any other character right now, like you would never do something like that. So my question is, for Disney, for Marvel, is it hurting them to continue to have the Punisher wear that costume. Like, I would love to know if that's impacted them in any material way.
I bet if anything, if I'm being honest, I feel like it's actually helped them in a very sadistic kind of way.
Probably.
Because, you know, the people that are anti-Punisher were never going to buy anything Punisher related. And you have been able to transcend just comic books with the recognizability of the logo. Punisher logo has got to be, at this point, one of the 5 most recognizable logos in all of comic books.
Sure.
They're able to profit off, you know, assholes.
Yeah. And I think it's also probably worth pointing out too, right? That, like, I don't know that the Punisher is a character who has as much cultural cachet now, right? Like, I think the kind of character he is was hugely popular in the 80s and 90s, and I think, like, nowadays, like, that kind of, like, you know, gruff, badass, you know, shoot 'em all, kill 'em all, fuck 'em, like, that kind of thing is, like, that's not in vogue anymore. And, like, frankly, by catering to that kind of asshole that Phil's talking about, who identifies with what they think of the Punisher, rather than, you know, what is actually there in the text or whatever interpretation of the character, like, that's probably the crowd for it, right?
Pete, you've made this point so often on the show, how Disney goes out of its way to kind of straddle this tightrope of appealing to everyone, frankly, just everyone, every possible person. And, you know, in capitalism, that's the prerogative of a giant company, is to try to maximize its profit. There is no ethics. There is no concern for any kind of morality. And, you know, for Disney, its bottom line is positively affected by trying to appeal to white nationalists. And that's really cynical, but it's true.
I'm not pressed by that because I don't give a shit. At the end of the day, they're a business, and I respect the fact that they're a business. And I get other people having different feelings in that, but I'm not pressed. You want to sell Punisher merchandise to people who are white supremacists? Go right ahead. I don't care. My problem is play it straight across the board. Don't say you can't use the Punisher logo on some kid, or Spider-Man's logo on some kid's grave, but you can use it on a gun that's killing black people. Don't tell me that.
Right.
You know, play it straight. Don't take the logo away from the character in the comics for people who get it and understand, in a medium where he directly condemns those kinds of people, because we talked about that too in I believe it was Matthew Rosenberg's Punisher run, where he meets these cops who idolize him and he tells them, no, you guys don't get it. I'm not aligned with what you guys are talking about. And that was a great issue and a great conversation. Don't take the logo away from that and then continue to sell the thing on your t-shirts and your mugs and your cups and wherever else the character's going to appear. Play it straight. Yeah.
Well, and not to mention, right, how many fucking people are there that are selling modified versions of the Punisher logo with, like, the fucking Blue Lives Matter flag and shit like that? Mm-hmm. That is an illegal modification of a copyrighted material that you damn well know that they've sued a lot of other motherfuckers over. And, like, where's that? Where's that fire?
Well,
where's that smoke now?
Well, that requires them to weigh in on something that's, putting it mildly, controversial.
Exactly.
The Blue Lives Matter kind of cultural battle that require, you know, for Disney to dip their toes into that would require that would merit so much blowback.
Exactly. But that's the whole problem for me, right? And I think it comes back to what Sean said, and, like, I'm done at this point, right? It's cowardice. It's absolute cowardice, and it's
cowardice, but, like, you know, they're gonna dry their eyes with $1 billion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
issues.
So exactly, right? And, like, I don't expect companies to be moralistic, and the bigger they are, the generally the more evil they are, right? We that's how it works. But, like, fuck you frankly,
you're upset
is where I'm at, right? Like,
you're upset about that? Here's a Black Lives Matter sticker with Mickey Mouse ears on it. Does that make you feel better?
What? Look at our initiative for Pride Month, though.
Yeah. Oh, this one's got a rainbow on it.
It's the Mickey Mouse ears, but it's a rainbow. None of the proceeds will go to help queer people at all, though. Just cool. All right. Fucking hate it here.
Yeah. It's definitely frustrating, but it's definitely Disney, and we'll see how it plays out. We don't have long to wait because Heroes Reborn is going to be beginning, I believe, in June, and then Heroes Return is, ending whenever. But what do you guys think about that? Are you down with Disney and Marvel saying no more Punisher logo, at least in the comics? Or do you want them to keep it, and so where do you fall? We want to hear your thoughts on that. We want to hear your thoughts on everything we've talked about here on this podcast. We want to hear your thoughts about Butts and Seats, buttsandseatscomic.com. Are you going to join us on the Kickstarter campaign for that? Are you a wrestling fan? What'd you think about us having Tony Schiavone? That's a huge get for the Comics Pals. We're really excited about it. And, if there are people that you want us to interview, please write in and let us know, because we're always looking for compelling guests with interesting stories or cool stuff to talk about. Or
go tweet at them and be like, I want you to go on the Comics Pals, because that'll help.
That's crazy.
That makes it a lot easier.
Let's start our Twitter. Who's the person we want to harass, right? We just be like our fan every single day, just be like, you gotta go on the Comics Pals.
Oh boy. Shoot. Wow.
Kirkman, let's go.
So Robert Kirkman, Tom
back.
King, Scott Snyder,
Rob
Grant
Liefeld.
Morrison.
Sure.
Rob Liefeld. We interviewed Rob Liefeld. He's got us blocked.
Oh, that's right. He has his blocked.
We got blockchained. He was so nice to us. He literally, like, we nice interview. He said we did a good job, and then we somehow got blockchained.
Tweet at him to unblock us.
Yes.
Let's get John Barenthal on. Let's see what he thinks about this Punisher business.
Hell yeah.
Yo, I would love that. Don't even. Also, we know what he thinks about it. Go look at his Twitter.
Yeah, he's been pretty upfront about condemning all that crap.
He basically says anybody who does that is a fucking clown. So.
Don't bury the lead, Pete. He could have been on the show to say that.
Tweet at them, tweet at us, tweet whatever you want. We would love for you guys to interact with us. Hopefully you enjoyed what we did today. We've got a lot of content for you this week to check out. It's just madness. So our Justice League review for Zack Snyder's Justice League is out now. Check that out. Our Falcon Winter Soldier episode of We Watch is out now. Check that out. We've got the Invincible We Watch coming out this Friday, right? Yeah, this Friday.
This Friday. If
this
you're
Friday.
listening on
Next
Monday.
weekend.
Yes. The Invincible Book Club is coming. Just so much content for you guys that we're absolutely proud to be producing. So thank you so much for listening. If you're a new listener and you got through all of this, we thank you so much. We do all the things we just talked about, and we drop this podcast every single Monday where we're talking about comics. We're talking about these characters, and everywhere that you can find them. You can find us at the Comics Pals on social media all over the place. Wherever you listen to us, make sure that you guys are following. Make sure that you guys are leaving us a comment there. Those things help us out a ton. If you want to write in, you can do so at thecomicspals@gmail.com. If you're watching on YouTube, you got a lot out of this episode. This is probably the most YouTube episode we've ever done, between some of the cool stuff that Tony had to show off and then when we did the Met Gala stuff or the Hellfire Gala stuff. So support us on YouTube. Give us a subscribe. I want to remind you that those subscriptions that we're talking about are completely free. The word subscribe means a lot of things in different spaces. In the podcast space, it means that you are supporting us for free by telling other people you like what we do. So please do that. We appreciate it. And if you want to continue the conversation with us beyond this show, you can do so by joining our Discord server. You can come hang out with us right now. In my ear, I hear the notifications going off because there's conversation going on right now. You can be a part of that by joining our Discord server and clicking that description in the link below. Pete, plug.
All right. Take a breath, Sean. Thank you guys for joining us here at another episode of the Comics Pals. If you are a new listener, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you'll give us a subscribe and follow along. We do a lot of great stuff. If you want to connect with me, I'm at @loud_Pete on Twitter and Instagram. You can also go check out my band at Longfriend Timefriend, at LFTF the band on Twitter. Wherever you get your music, we just put out our first album, If Me Dies, Me Dies. It's getting some good buzz. I'm real proud of it. I think it's good. I hope you'll check it out.
You guys are real big in Nigeria, right?
It is actually legitimately very big in Nigeria, which is awesome. So if you want to make it big in your home country, go check it out. And then if you want to get some more content from me, you can check out the Potscast. It's a weekly Nintendo podcast I host every week over on lootpots.com. And I stream over there sometimes too. Check it out.
Marco.
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Mr. Marco Enomoto. If you like wrestling, which starts with a W, you might be a weeb, which also starts with a W. And we have a very active weeb community in the Discord, so please join. We're doing an Akira watch along.
I need
right
your
now.
screenshot, Sean, just with the
Bro,
the galaxy brain.
I don't know why you guys are laughing. Anime and manga are cool.
Heard you.
They're definitely as cool as wrestling. I'll give you that.
Probably cooler.
We're talking about Dragon Ball. I love Cooler.
Yes, you are right. And if you want to follow someone else who is cool, well, maybe not that cool. You don't have to follow them.
Kale's not cool. Don't follow him.
Yeah, you can
Throw to Phil.
Yeah, he's maybe at Cyborg Bebop.
That's right. Yes. So tweet at me at Cyber Bebop, or you can slide in my DMs on Instagram, I guess, and tell us how we made a mistake of not getting Tony Schiavone to say it's Sean.
That would have been cool. But we asked a lot, and he delivered on everything. So again, very thankful.
Also, let me know what comics you've been buying with your stimmies, baby. As for me, I got Grant Morrison's Action Comics run, the omnibus. Pick that up. That'll be coming in. I'll put that on social media for you guys to see. And I also bought the Dragon Ball box set of the original manga run.
Oh, really?
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Also, when that comes, that's coming from New Zealand. I got a really sweet discount for that. So whenever that comes, that might be a week or two. So yeah, like I said, let me know what you guys bought.
And as for me, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram only at Sean Soapbox. I am still living on cloud 9, having had the opportunity to speak to Tony Schiavone. So if you want to talk to me about that, if you want to talk to me about wrestling or anything that's cool, we got WrestleMania coming up here in just a couple of weeks. So I'm in wrestling mode for sure. Hit me up to chat about those things. With that, we're the Comics Pal signing off. Take care, guys.
See ya next week.
Fill up. I can't believe you're here.